The Mavka. She will love you until there is nothing left. In the summer of 1934, a young schoolteacher named Dmytro Kovalenko went swimming in a river near his village in the Poltava region of central Ukraine. It was late afternoon. The water was warm. 3 of his friends were with him on the bank. They watched him swim out to the middle of the river. They watched him stop. They watched him tread water for a moment, looking at something beneath the surface. And then he smiled. A wide, strange smile that none of them had ever seen on his face before. And he dove down. He did not come back up. They searched for 3 days. They found his body on the 4th, tangled in the reeds near the far bank. His face, the people who recovered him said, still had that smile. His friends, when asked what they had seen in the water before he dove, gave the same answer, independently, without speaking to each other first. A girl, just beneath the surface, looking up at him. The old women in the village did not find this surprising. They knew exactly what had happened. They called her the Mavka. There is a moment every spring in the Slavic calendar that the old people called Rusalka week, the week when the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead becomes thin enough to step through. During this week, they said, you did not swim in rivers or lakes. You did not walk alone near water at night. You did not answer if you heard singing coming from the reeds, because that is when the Mavki came. The Mavka, sometimes called Rusalka in Russian tradition, but the Ukrainian Mavka is something slightly different, something more specific and more dangerous, was not always what she became. She was once a girl. This is the part that Western mythology tends to miss about Slavic spirits. They are not simply creatures of nature, born from the forest or the water with no human origin. Many of them were human once. The Mavka was a girl who died before her time, before marriage, before children, before she had lived what the old Slavic worldview considered a complete life. Unbaptized infants, girls who drowned, those who saw a Mavka and survived. And there are accounts collected across centuries of people who saw them and looked away in time, describe something achingly beautiful. A young woman, pale the way moonlight on water is pale, not sickly, but luminous. Hair loose and long, green-tinted from the water, threaded with wildflowers. Eyes the color of deep water, green or gray, or a blue so dark. The Mavka did not attack. She did not drag people into the water by force, the way some water spirits in other traditions do. She invited. She would appear at the water's edge in the long evenings of summer, when the light was golden and the air was warm, and young men were swimming or fishing or simply sitting by the river. She would look at them. She would smile. Sometimes she would sing, a sound described consistently across centuries and regions as the most beautiful sound the listener had ever heard. Not loud, not dramatic, just a voice, close and quiet and personal, as if she were singing only for you.
The Poltava schoolteacher was not unique. In ethnographic records collected in the late 19th century by Ukrainian folklorist Mikhailo Dragomanov, there are dozens of accounts from villages along the Dnieper and its tributaries of young men found drowned in shallow water. Water so shallow that drowning made no physical sense. Water a child could stand in. Men found face down in half a meter of river, with no explanation for how they had drowned, with no signs of struggle, with expressions on their faces that the witnesses described the same way every time. Peaceful, smiling, like they had seen something wonderful just before the end. In one account from 1887, a village elder described watching from a distance as a young man from his village walked into the river fully clothed in the middle of the afternoon, walking calmly and steadily as if crossing a road until the water was over his head. The elder said he shouted. He said the young man did not react, did not turn, did not hesitate, did not seem to hear. He just kept walking. They found him 3 days later, downstream, with wildflowers in his hair. Wildflowers that did not grow anywhere near where he had entered the water. The Ukrainian poet Lesya Ukrayinka wrote a play about the Mavka in 1912, a work called Forest Song that captures something the folklore records miss. In her telling, the Mavka is not a predator. She is a tragedy. She falls in love with a human man. She wants only what every person wants: to be known, to be loved, to be chosen. But she is what she is, and he is what he is, and the world between them is... The old protections were specific and consistent across regions. During Rusalka week, you did not swim alone. You did not go to the water after dark. You did not answer singing you could not explain. If you saw a Mavka, if you felt that pull, that strange softening of the world around you, you looked away immediately. Not down, not to the side, but completely away, turning your back. Looking into her eyes for more than a moment was considered the point of no return. You carried wormwood. This plant, Pauline in Ukrainian, was considered deeply protective against all water spirits. The smell of it, the old people said, reminded the Mavka of the living world in a way that made her uncomfortable, that reminded her of what she was not. You wore it on your body during the dangerous weeks. You hung it at the doors of your house. You did not accept anything from her hands, not flowers, not objects, not her touch. To take Dmytro Kovalenko, the school teacher from Poltava, had picked wildflowers that morning. His friends remembered it as an odd thing for him to do. He was not that kind of person, not someone who noticed flowers. He had picked them by the riverbank before they swam, held them for a moment, and then left them on the grass when he went into the water. His friends did not connect this to what happened until later, until they were older and had moved away from the village, and thought about it late at night, the way you think about things that never fully made sense. He had left the flowers on the bank, as if he knew he would not need them where he was going. The rivers are still there. The long summer evenings are still there. And on warm nights in June, in the quiet places where the reeds grow tall and the water is dark and still, if you listen carefully enough, you might hear singing. Don't look for where it's coming from.
don't answer. And whatever you do, don't go in.